sorry, brother. I might take you off topic, but have you grown up or do you have a sore throat? The voice. Wow, that was for you.
Who are you speaking to?
And I was saying that, have you grown up or do you have a sore throat? Because you sound different.
I don't know, maybe it's my earphone, AirPod or whatever, I don't know.
I just wanted to sort of comment on the judgment, and it is going to be for us not a long time in the future, because or after our lifetime, years left. So once we're dead. We can't do anything about it. So it's we've just got to make the best of it while we're here in this life, and whether it happens in our lifetime or whether it happens thousands of years after our lifetime, it's not going to make a difference because we're going to be dead anyway. We can't change anything.
Yeah, what I'm questioning though is when this supposed day of judgment is happening. It seems like it's always in the future. There's never any set time. Hopefully it happens before the Earth gets swallowed up by the expanding red sun in 5 billion years. Actually, humans will be gone in less than 1 million, according to projections about how the Earth operates. We've only got a small amount of time, relatively speaking, on Earth anyway. Unless we colonize other planets, the human race will die out. Even if we try to, eventually the Earth will become livable. But it'll take a while. But all I want to know is when it's going to happen, right? At least Harold Camping gave you a time. For Christianity and Islam, it's always in the future. It will always be in the future, it seems to me.
Yes, no one knows except for God. Even Jesus said that in the Bible.
God, but if you knew when that time was coming, what would you do about it? I mean, you're not even really bothered, are you? You've no concern of that, really, are you? Whether you have it or not.
Yeah, it depends on what it actually said and what the consequences were and so forth. And I would either prepare myself or live life even fuller and knowing that whatever else is going to happen is going to happen. So I probably would act differently in some way.
Yeah, but Rob, why are you not doing it now? Rob, why are you not doing it now? I don't get it. Why are you worried about Judgment Day to come before you prepare yourself? Why are you not preparing yourself? Just chill out. Because you don't believe in anything anyway.
That's correct. So yeah, so I don't. But I'm saying if it did. But for you guys, it seems I stretch my head when you guys say it's going to happen. Because it's always going to be in the future.
That's fine. It's our future, but we're preparing for it. But I'm asking you, why are you concerned for? You keep asking us to answer this question that, the Muslims always say in the future, but you ain't bothered, mate. You're saying so you can prepare for it, but what do you want to prepare for? You don't believe it. So why are you not just prepared doing what you need to do now anyway? I'm preparing for that end time of yours.
Yeah, I'm not preparing for
this. Tell you, why do you need me to give you a day for? I don't get why you need a day off me. Yeah, but you said to me, you asked me, you offered me $1 trillion, whatever you say, to give you that day. And I'm saying to you, what concern is it, even if I accepted that and I gave you a day, right? What's the point of giving me that bet? Because you ain't bothered anyway.
Oh, then it would show that what you said is true, right? Then I would have to accept that it was true. That's why it would be useful. Because then you would prove your claim, right? That's the only way to prove it.
If I gave you the claim, I gave you a day in 300 years from now, it'd be irrelevant to you because you'd be dead. So what's the point? I don't get. You will not be there to prove me or disprove me because you're gone.
Notice what you said, right? You said, "Oh, look at the times. The end times is coming." To me, that's just it's like a vacuous statement, right? The end times will always be coming. That's the problem. So saying that isn't, Muhammad supposedly said it that this child won't die. The end times will come before the child's life has ended, right? So it's been happening for 1400 years. It's happening now. It'll continue to happen. Your children will say it, their children, etc., etc. Everybody will keep saying that it's coming. And then look at the signs around. And that's the problem, isn't it, Mohammed? If you can all look at signs throughout history and say, oh, it looks like it's coming, then have you actually got any signs to show you that it's coming? Or all signs just show you, in which case it's an unfalsifiable claim and it doesn't carry any weight. There's no evidence that it's actually coming.
Well, if it's not for the religious people to make a claim that this end would end, it wouldn't matter for, of course, it is because of the religious people who made the argument that this world will come to an end. And that's how those atheists are trying to find another world so they can save themselves. Man, that is stupid. How in the world would they know that this world will come to an end and they're trying to spend a lot of people to try to find another habitable place and looking for water reserves and claiming that if there is water, there is life there. Because the knowledge has been there from the religious people.
No, it's not the case. The people that are looking to Mars are not religious people. They just want to allow humanity.
No. I'm not saying they are religious. The knowledge which they got is from the religious people.
How's that the case?
Look at the horizon. Look at the sun, the moon, the stars. I can show you so many verses from the Quran which talks about the universe, and we are like just a dot in it, and there's so much to see and to go and look and find. There are verses in the Quran which tells us. And if you ask me as a Muslim, I would say those so-called atheists, they read the translation of the Quran and now they're trying to decipher what to do after that. Otherwise, you'll be sitting with you guys drinking and partying.
I'm not sure I think the point you were trying to make is that somehow the people that want to go to Mars, like Elon Musk and others, are inspired by religion. Is that the idea? Something like that?
Yes, the knowledge is there in the Quran. People read it and they are going looking for it.
Yeah, what knowledge is the Quran got about Mars or how to get to Mars or anything like that?
No. The knowledge is there that I have created everything from water. So now people are going there into space and trying to find water on planets.
Oh well, that's demonstrably false. That's a claim that the Quran's made the way you've just articulated. Well, then we know that there's a demonstrable error in the Quran. So it's not something you want to say, is it?
But my argument was that just because of knowledge of the books and especially of the Holy Quran itself, people are reading it and they're trying to find answers to it.
But everything isn't made of water. We actually know that already. So we don't need to go looking to see if things are made of water. We know everything's not made of water. The original light elements in the early universe were hydrogen and helium. There was no oxygen at that stage. So that's clearly false. The building blocks are
hydrogen. Hydrogen and helium was the cause of sun, not the rest of the world.
Yeah, but I think the verse says every living thing has been made from water.
Yes.
If I'm not wrong.
Yes, it is every living thing made from water.
Yeah, that's a vague statement. It depends what you mean by made from water, right? If you mean originated from H2O, then again, what reason have we got to believe that every living thing has done that or has come from that?
Rob, do you not believe that everything has a beginning, has an end?
No, not necessarily.
Okay, can you elaborate on that, please?
Your mic is very soft there.
Can can you elaborate on that? Can you give a bit more than not really? You know, it's a very out there.
Yeah, there's models of the universe that show that it will continue to what's called the heat death and continue to expand but never actually stop. It's not like the universe will it'll run out of usable energy, but it won't disappear, for want of a better word. So it will remain. And or some other models show that it'll just become like a new eon, as they call it. That's Roger Penrose's model. So there's plenty of models that project a future that's eternal. And in fact, you even think that the future is eternal. So we both think that there's something that will continue eternally into the future.
When we say it's eternal, we have to end first. We end, and then there's a new. We go, and that's it. So all the stuff that you said about the planet, do you not think that something is ended? And if you call it a neon, whatever, because obviously I'm not well versed on that. But has not something changed? Has it not changed then when it's evolved into something else? Something has ended and something new has begun in essence?
Well, it depends what you mean by begun and ended then. It becomes a tricky situation. It's a lot trickier than you think, actually.
Everything that has a beginning has an end, and you're not sure about that, you're saying? Cool, all right.
No, I don't necessarily think that's true, no. I don't think that's true. Especially with matter and energy, right? If matter or energy isn't destroyed, but merely changed, then are you saying that change is an end?
Of some kind, yeah, if it changes. If something changes from something else.
Oh, you see, I don't accept that change is an end. I take an end to be the ceasing of existence of something. So that's why I say it depends what you mean by end there. That's a tricky topic.
Yeah.
What about the beginning?
Sorry, what was that?
Energy beginning.
In a closed system, I think energy doesn't have a beginning, as far as I can tell. I'd have to look up the science on that, to be honest. I looked at it a long time ago.
So it's always existed for eternity.
No, I wouldn't say that necessarily. But it exists within a closed system. It's not people who destroy it, but it's a closed system.
Yeah, so this closed system is always
itself. Yeah, but that doesn't say anything about the system itself.
But if you say this energy doesn't have a beginning, then it's always existed in a closed system or whatever system you want to think about. If you say it's not got a beginning, then it's always existed.
It depends what you mean by beginning there, right? See, that's why I say the beginning type questions are quite tricky. When does something begin? When does it end? Right? It's not as straightforward as you think.
Yeah, that's why I asked you, because you said something changing. You're not using that as to meaning end. So that's why I wanted to ask you about what do you understand by the word beginning.
Well, beginning to me would be something that has never existed that then exists. But again, even that language is kind of hard to explain. It's not an easy topic, I don't think. It sounds easy, but actually when you start to...
No, I like that. I like your answer, Rob. So it's something that's never existed starts to exist. I like that answer for the beginning. But you're saying this energy never had a point in history where it never existed. It's always existed.
Yeah, well, that's why I say that seems to be that may well be the case within a closed system, but it says nothing about like the greater existence, let's say. So if this is a pocket universe, then you could say the energy within this universe has always been the case in some way or other. But yeah, it's a tricky one. I'd have to look into that a bit more. It's not something that I've thought deeply enough on to give a good answer to.
No, it's fine. It's just because what happens now is if you say this energy doesn't have a beginning, then you've got no other option to believe that this energy has always existed for eternity. That is the only option. There's no sort of going around it. So that then we have the infinite regress problem.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with infinite regress. I know some people keep claiming there's a problem, but it doesn't seem to be a problem.
Because you come from the Christian background, Bob, and you say in the beginning was the word.
didn't hear what you said there.
Because you come from a Christian background, Brother Rob, and you say in the beginning was the word.
Oh, I don't say that, but okay.
Do you believe infinity is reachable?
Is it reachable? No, I don't think it's reachable, per se. If you mean by reachable from this moment in time going forward, then there's always going to be another moment, if you like, or another number to count, or whatever the case is.
So I'll give you an example.
I don't see a problem with like in a beginning a series of events, and this moment now being actual. I don't see any problem with that.
Okay, so I'll explain to you why there is a problem. So if you go from a finite number to another finite number, say 10, that is possible. Whether you go from 0 to 10 million, again, that's possible. Whether you go from 0 to 100 trillion, again, that's still possible. If you go from 0 to infinity, that's not possible because what you actually require is an actual infinite by successive addition, which is not possible, which is not reachable. So that is exactly the same as going from, so let's forget that now. Let's go from, say, minus 10 to 0. Is that possible? Yes, because you need plus 10. Minus 100 to 0. Is that possible? Yes, you need a plus 100, which is possible. Minus 10 trillion to 0. Is that possible? Yes, because you need plus 10 trillion to traverse that. Minus infinity to 0. Okay, because you said originally reaching infinity is not possible. Now you want to sort of change it to say, actually, this infinity is possible now. See, this is a common problem with atheists. It's not just you, Rob. I've spoken to sort of like other atheists as well. And they've got these double standards and sort of where they say there's a problem in this way, but all of a sudden it's not a problem. Even though in both scenarios, what you actually need is a plus infinity, which is
well, actually, you don't. When you do a countdown, which is the second one you talked about, it's called a countdown, as I understand.
You're not counting down; you're counting up. Again, this is the atheists always somehow seem to. When I say from minus to 0, but somehow they say it's a countdown. No, you're still counting up. If you're going from minus 10 to 0, what do you need? You need plus 10. Sorry,
you don't think about it like that. Yeah, but I think that's the mistaken way. At least the way I've heard philosophers say it. When you're talking about the past coming to the future, you're counting down to right. It's a countdown. If you were going from this moment to the future, that's a count up. You're counting up away from us, going forward.
If you were a week away, Rob, and you needed to reach today, how many days would you need to add to reach today?
Sorry, say again?
If you were 1 week in the past and you needed to reach today, how many days would you need to add to reach?
Yeah, 7 days. You can say the same about any finite number, right?
Yeah, you're not counting down. You're always counting up. But for some reason, atheists like to sort of think that we're counting down, even though we're still counting down.
No, it is a countdown. No. Count up is when you count from now to the forward. How many days do you need for a week in the future? That would be a count up.
So
how many days do you need? If you want to reach, what's the date today? Today is the 22nd. If you wanted to reach the 29th, how many days in the future would you need to count?
So yeah, you're still counting plus. You're still adding. But for some reason, atheists, if you've got a timeline and you're going from minus something to 0, for some reason that they always say this thing, they're counting down. You're not counting down. You're counting up. If you go from back, let me give you an example. If you're at minus 100 and you need to get to 0, what do you need to add?
You need to add 100. That's not the same.
Thank you. So if you're at minus infinity and to get to 0, what would you need to add?
Sorry, say again?
If you're at minus infinity and you need to get to 0, what would you need to add?
Plus infinity.
Thank you.
Which is a countdown. Yeah, it's a countdown.
Yeah, I think.
I think you're not understanding how it's termed in philosophy. At least when Alex Malpass, maybe he's wrong about it, and everybody else, you are right. but he explained it quite clearly how a count up and a count down works. And that seems very intuitive to me. You're counting down from the past to this moment. And then from this moment, if you were going in the future, you're counting up or away from this moment. And it's just a semantic thing, but I understand it very clearly that way. Count up, count down, when you swap them around, that seems muddled to me. But it's just a semantical point. You can take it to be saying what you're saying. You could just say from the past until this moment. That's probably easier for us both.
Whether you want to call it countdown or not, whatever label you want to put at it, what you said, you need a plus infinity. To go from minus infinity to 0, you need a plus infinity. To get an actual infinite by successive addition is impossible. So
So what's the problem? What's the problem there? What problem do you think there is with it?
Infinite regress.
No, that's where you lose it. There is no problem with an infinite regress is going back, counting backwards. You are talking about getting to this moment, you're counting forwards from the past until now. Those two counts are not the same. That's the point where you think they're not. There doesn't seem to be any problem with an infinite regress. Typically, the problem that people seem to suggest is, you couldn't reach this moment now if you had an infinite amount of time in the past. Of course, is not the case.
Yeah, like I said, for some reason, atheists forget time, forget all of this. To go from 0 to plus infinity, you need infinity. To go from minus infinity to 0, again, you need plus infinity. Can you actually provide an actual infinite by successive addition?
Oh, I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up. I'm not an expert on that.
But that is not
No,
that is
no.
like so
I think if you had
original,
infinite
yes,
time,
but that is not a problem. You don't have to go to an actual infinity. All you have to show is that it's this thing is not logically impossible. So an infinite regress is not logically impossible, and I think even most religious philosophers will also agree to that. Because it's just so if you have like a premise one is that let's say A causes B, okay? So a thing has a cause, and then you can just do premise 2 that so for every entity that has a cause is satisfied by a causal entity. So, and then there is no contradiction to this. Can you point me a contradiction? When you have an infinite regress, there is no because for every element in that chain, there will always be a causal entity for every entity. Not sure if anybody heard that.
yeah, I heard you there, Nico. Yeah, it's one of the few topics.
Now, there is a problem here. First of all, you need to tell me what is minus infinity. What is the value of minus infinity? How many zeros are there? Is it 1? Is it 2? Is it trillion zeros? Give me the actual number. And to count down to 0, you need to know actually what is minus infinity. And this is impossible to achieve. Infinity is impossible to know if it's minus or if it's positive. And original was a brilliant point. You need a plus infinity to count up from minus infinity to 0. And we don't have plus infinity. We don't have minus infinity. Point is mute. This is just gibberish. Gibberish. Tell me then. Tell me what is minus infinity. Tell me what is minus infinity. Tell me what is minus infinity.
Subtraction is
no. Give me a number. Give me a number. I want a number. What is minus infinity?
Infinity isn't a number, idiot.
Why are you insulting me, man?
Infinity is not a number.
Why are you insulting me?
Infinity because you're
Why are you insulting me? Did I insult
because you overtalk. Because you overtalk. Yeah, because you're rude. So
an idiot?
Yeah, see, that's why. Infinity is not a number, and subtraction is not defined in
So we were like counting -1, -2. for minus infinity is not a number anymore. What the heck you are talking about?
Yeah, go learn something about set theory, and then come back.
The theory, right? Theory. But we don't talk theories here. We talk facts.
No,
Tell me what
it's called math. It's called math. It's called math.
Okay, so math is based on numbers, correct?
No.
No? Yeah. Okay, prove to me or give me the value of minus infinity.
Yeah, minus subtraction is undefined.
Undefined. So there is no such a thing called minus infinity.
That's correct.
Yes, so there is no such a thing called minus infinity, and therefore
correct.
infinity is something undoable, right?
You don't subtract in set theory.
Listen, you said it's undefined. Infinity is
Yes.
undefined. Okay, no problem.
In set theory.
Impossible. Meaning it's impossible to be achieved.
Right. Set theory is not arithmetic.
All I'm asking a simple question. Can be answered with yes or no. Can we achieve infinity regardless if it's minus or positive?
That's just an incoherent question.
Can you achieve number 2?
That's also incoherent.
Can you achieve number 10?
You got too much background noise.
Can you reach number 10?
What does reach mean?
Counting, with counting. Like, can you reach number 10 when you count?
Can you reach? I just can't hear anything you're saying because there's too much noise.
Okay. Can you reach number 10 when you counting? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10. Yes, we can reach it. Can we reach infinity? No, we cannot. And therefore, infinity is impossible, is undoable, is something theoretical. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist.
Okay, so the thing is, are we in the logical domain or are you in what domain are we talking about? If you're talking about in logical domain, then infinity does exist. So if I were to ask you what is the set of number of elements in a set of
Nilo, logical domain, sometimes it doesn't necessarily say every logical thing is possible. For example, it's logical for you to jump to the moon. It's logical. There is no contradiction there. Logically is doable, but can you do it? No, it's impossible. Not every logical thing is a possible thing. That's what you're confusing.
I'm raising a different this thing. So basically in mathematics is in the logic domain. Okay, so you start with some axioms, you come up. For example, a set, like the other gentleman mentioned, set theory. Then if I were to ask you what is the set of all integers, what is the number of cardinality of the set? That is the number of elements in the set of all integers. Then that comes to infinity. And not only that, there is Cantor who said there are various types of infinity. So the set of real numbers will have a different cardinality, infinite cardinality. That is, and the set of integers have a different cardinality and this kind of thing. So these things exist in the mathematical domain, which is a logical domain. Now, if you were to argue on whether something is logical or not, I don't think you can make that argument that infinite regress is logically impossible. It is definitely logically possible.
Okay, for a million times. Logically possible doesn't say it's doable in reality. Now, logical things, again, I'm going to give you the same example. It's logical to say that me as a human, I can jump. You know, jump. Like when you play basketball and jump to dunk, I can jump to the moon. I don't need an aerospace airplane to go to the moon. I can jump. Logically speaking, is that possible? Yes, it's possible, logically speaking. But is it possible in reality? No, it's impossible. And again, infinity, logically, yeah, it's possible. But is it doable in real life? No. Therefore, infinity by itself, it's a rare, it's weird concept, and it does not exist.
I want to hear how it's logically possible by him to reach infinity.
law?
Yes.
Yeah, so I want to know, from according to you, how it's logically possible to reach an actual infinite.
No. So infinite regress itself. So infinite regress is logically possible. I didn't say to reach an infinity. Infinite regress itself. So so if I say that, okay, is a certain entity. Let's use the classic example where you have dependency relationship, necessary and contingent. So let's say an element or an entity can be either contingent on another entity, contingent entity, or a necessary entity. Okay, that's where this is. And then you say, okay, so this then this can lead, and then infinite regress is not logically possible because there is no contradiction to it. If you can find a contradiction, then you can offer it. I don't think anybody's ever been able to find a contradiction to that.
You've not really explained anything. You just said you have an infinite set of contingent.
No, I've made a premise.
You're saying infinite regress is not a problem. You've not explained why it's not a problem.
Yeah, I told you, give me a contradiction. Give me a B and not B. Give me a contradiction to this. So the premise is that, okay, premise one.
I'm sorry, Nilo. The brother gives you already the contradiction.
Where is the contradiction?
Okay, I will tell you. He original explained it very well. Okay, but Rob, he was sleeping probably, and he didn't comprehend the point. He told him literally, to achieve zero from minus infinity, you need plus infinity. When we go and examine that in real life, we don't have plus infinity. We don't have it. In order for you to achieve that, you need to know the value of a plus infinity and plus and minus infinity. So both of them does not exist. Not minus infinity, not positive infinity, not plus infinity. Now, in order for us to come to the point zero, we need positive infinity, which is plus infinity. What is it? What is it? That's the contradiction.
Do you understand what a contradiction is? How to make a contradiction?
Yeah,
So you have
that's
to
a
show
contradiction. That there is a minus infinity.
Yeah, but to show a logical problem, it doesn't have to be a contradiction. You can have other logical problems as well. So what you're basically saying is infinity, which is unreachable, is unending, is limitless, is never-ending, goes on forever. Now you're saying this thing is reachable.
No, I'm
That's
not
the
saying
contradiction.
I'm saying that so all I'm saying, okay, listen to the premise again. The premise is an element, an entity can either be contingent or it can on some other entity, or it can be necessary. That it is not contingent on anything else. Okay, and then you say, okay, I have one element A, entity A, it is contingent on B. B is contingent on C. C is contingent on D, and so on. You will not be able to find a logical contradiction to this. This entire chain of infinite contingencies.
Yeah. So let me.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. So let me show you. So is infinity ending or never ending?
It has got nothing to do with infinity. I'm saying that can you find an entity which
It's got everything to do with infinity. You're saying infinite regress is not a problem, and you're saying it's got nothing to do with infinity. What are you talking about?
I'll leave. I think.
Yeah, I think you should leave it.
I'll leave it. Yes,
Please.
it's fine. But if we have like some philosophy or logic student or something, then we can discuss this because.
Let me show you why. Let me show you why the logical.
Okay, original. May I one comment, 1 minute, and then after that you can go. Now, are we in a closed system? Is that universe is a closed system?
Is the universe in a closed system? Why it's
no problem. So these contingents. No, 1 second. So we are in a closed system, and these contingent things, whatever you want to call them, are as a set. All of them as a set. Correct? We can look at them as a set, contingent set. And this contingent set is depending on what?
Yeah, but you don't know what is outside the set.
Exactly, you don't know. At least we, as a theist, we have a theory, okay, which is there is a creator. Now, to you, that's the contradiction here. You're saying they are contingent, yet they are a set contingent, and yet they are dependent on themselves. That doesn't make sense. That's by itself it's a contradiction. I yield my mic there. Barakallahu feekum, akhwa. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Right the prayer.
Yeah, but the creator could also be contingent. You have not shown me how the creator is not.
No, it's not.
Yeah, you cannot just say short. I mean, it could be. Why is that? Why you?
Good is different. No, it cannot be.
Yeah, so Nilo, so just regarding that, so we're saying our creator is not contingent, okay? You're saying it's possible that a creator can be contingent. So what you've got to do now is, even though you don't believe in a creator, you've got to now believe in a creator for your argument that is a contingent, because we don't believe in a contingent creator.
Yeah, in fact,
so you're making it a brute fact, which is fine. If you want to just take it if you just want to take it as a brute fact, it's okay.
Our entire notion of a creator is that he is uncreated. So the idea of that he is contingent is completely refutable. And
So what you're telling me sounds like a brute fact. So you're making a brute fact that this is where it ends.
Yeah,
creator is
what God has revealed to us. So this is what we believe.
Yeah. So,
and for you to argue against that, you've got to say, no, my version of God is contingent. That's what you've got to say, basically.
what I'm saying is that there are
paradigm.
possibilities.
You must create your own paradigm to refute this. Where is your paradigm of God?
I'm coming from a position of agnosticism. I don't know. Let's put it this way. I don't know what is happening. In fact, I would even say that I wouldn't be able to know.
Right, well, what's your version? What's your notion? Let's scrutinize it. We can't
if you want to know my notion, I would just say that it's impossible for me to know the nature outside the universe. The nature of existence outside the universe, it's impossible for me to know. In fact, even within the universe, we don't know. We only see the observable universe. We don't know what is happening outside the observable universe.
Do you think atoms function differently outside of our planet? For example.
Are you saying laws of physics are absolute? Well, the laws of physics are observed to be...
Well, just uncertainty, for example, Heisenberg's principle.
Whatever. So laws of... Take all of the laws of physics, then that is applicable to the observable universe.
Well, this is what we need to know. Do you want to argue that the laws of physics change outside of the universe? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
It's impossible to know. At least from my point of view, I don't know how I can actually know that.
Well, here's the thing. What about, for example, take black holes, right? You don't know much about them, but you do know that it would lead at least to disintegration of particles, at least.
Yeah, so outside, we only can observe black holes until the event horizon, but after the event horizon, we have no idea. We cannot figure anything out.
I think, Neil, you might have said it self.
But you can't really assume, for example, that an object, let's say a meteorite, would remain intact as well if it enters a black hole. Do you think it would somehow regenerate itself afterwards? It's highly unlikely, is it?
I don't know where that. What the relevance there, but I'm curious to know how Albedo thinks that I've self-defeated.
Yeah, you're saying we can't know outside of the universe, but that's actually something that you do know. You know that you can't know outside the universe.
There is that too, yeah. You could argue that.
That was the claim I made anyways.
Okay, well, I'm back. Yeah, I mean, if you want to say something like that, you'd have to say something like, I don't know what we could know
wrongly to say that it would be? Yeah, it would be. It's possible to speculate.
I don't want to say it's impossible because saying it's impossible is just like another statement of I know it's not possible.